So I want to ask you a couple of questions about the sport of bodybuilding.
Sure.
Because you follow it, obviously, we can talk about it. So why do you think bodybuilding is not becoming a mainstream sport? What's preventing it from becoming a mainstream sport?
A mainstream sport? Like, you mean as far as like...
Like football, basketball?
Football's, things like baseball is America's pastime, football. I think it's one, not as many people can do bodybuilding. A lot of people can go to the gym, but you're never going to have a dense population of people that actually want to become bodybuilders. But you're always going to see, obviously from a young age, people that want to be baseball players or get enrolled in Little League or Pop Warner football or hockey, wrestling, things like that. Or today, you see a lot of the kids young that are starting to get into, mixed martial arts. Bodybuilding is something I think people kind of get into later in life. I personally, for myself, I didn't start bodybuilding until I was 23, 24 years old. That's when I first started really trying to bodybuild. I think that's one thing. I think there's, obviously the drug use, things. To become a successful bodybuilder at the level of the Olympia stage, you have to, do what you have to get there, which is a drug protocol. I think a lot of people have misconceptions about that. And I think a lot of factors play into that. It's not, you put on ESPN, you're going to see, Ronnie Coleman or Phil Heath or Brandon Curry or Jay Cutler on ESPN. No, or Kai Green. Not often. You might see him once in a while. Yeah. I think with the emergence of people like The Rock today, and obviously his bodybuilding being a part of, such a large part of his career, and people really, looking up to him and him having the following he's had. I think the great ambassadors for the sport that we've had, like Jay Cutler, like Kai Green, who is worldwide known and loved. People like the Callum, Von Mogers and the Bradley Martins and, those guys that have that, background. I think that's opened up a lot more, and I think you're going to see more people that have an admiration for that. Now, the people that actually take that step to become bodybuilders, not so many. But the thing is, today, like I said, there's always going to be a large population of people that want to look better. That's always going to be, prevalent in society. And I try to tell this, like, people don't want to look like me. People don't want to be 240 pounds at 5'9" and and look this way. And I get that, and that's okay because I don't tell people to look like me, and I'm sure Jay Cutler doesn't tell people to get big like him or Kai or Phil or Brandon or those guys. If you're going to be a bodybuilder, you do it for yourself. I'll guarantee if you ask. Oh, by the way, I saw Victor Martinez on your interview with him. Man, he looks great. I can't wait to see. Yeah. He's always been one of my favorites, man. And I used to train with him back in the days of Steel.
He's a great guy.
23rd Street with Victor Nunez and John De La Rosa and Busta Rhymes and that.
Yeah, these guys.
But if you talk to these guys, they're going to tell you, like, they're never going to be like, I did this because I wanted to please. Like, bodybuilders do it for themselves. Whether it's they got into bodybuilding because they had self-esteem issues or some type of darkness or some type of life experience that caused them to kind of use the gym as therapy and to just transition into this career and passion. I guarantee it's going to be most of the time something like that. But they're never going to say, oh, I did this because I wanted to please somebody. It's always for themselves, or because in a sense of me, I picked up an Arnold encyclopedia, got a taste of it, saw the expo, and I was like, what, this is something I want to do. And I'm competitive by nature, and the gym is always a competition versus yourself.
Arnold made a comment that he believes that bodybuilding should be tested for steroids going forward. On a record, he said that at one of the expos. You mentioned the drug protocol, right? Do you think testing for steroids and eliminating it from the sport would maybe help it become mainstream?
No, not at all. You have natural bodybuilding. Nobody knows who they are. Nothing against those guys; they train hard. But if you want to be a natural, just look at the purses. Look at what do you win if you become a pro natural bodybuilder versus what you become. And what's the purse up to now for being Mr. Olympia? $500,000, $1 million? Not to mention now they have The Rock doing his own show where the person can be even higher, right? No, absolutely not. But I think again, I'll tell you a story. When my mom first found out that I took stuff, I took my phone out. And there was a documentary called Bigger, Faster, Stronger by Chris Bell. Chris Bell. Great documentary. Very educational, very, very good stuff. And I'm like, Mom, just watch. I gave my mom the phone. She took it and she broke it. She threw it against the wall. Most people don't want to understand what goes into that lifestyle and what it goes into, obviously, drug protocol. Right. Me personally, I tell kids, I say, or not kids, but I tell people, I say, listen, if you're going to become a professional bodybuilder, that's something you want to do. Nobody can tell you what to do with your life. My advice is do your homework. I did probably at least 3 or 4 years of research before I even touched anything. I talked to my doctor, who I'm still close with, and I still talk to my doctor. I was open with him. I talked to a bunch of professionals. I learned the science behind it. Until this day, I still learn more. I still have some of the most intelligent people in the industry that I connect with to learn more and to obviously be safe. I've never had any problems. I never had any side effects. Got my heart checked. I tore my tricep 2 years ago, which I still need to get fixed. And I had to get my heart checked in order to have surgery. Doctor's like, you have the heart of a 20-year-old. You're a great kid. You're perfectly fine. So anything in moderation, I think, is okay. I mean, you can overdose on things like vitamin C. And this goes back into that documentary. You're going to have somebody that's out there eating McDonald's 5 times a day that's going to, probably die at 50 years old from diabetes or cardiovascular disease telling me, hey, kid, it's unhealthy for you to do that. And it's like, oh, who the fuck are you? You're telling me, first of all, it's my life. I'm going to do what I want. If I want to go out and fucking, and do every fucking drug there is and go fucking, run down the street naked, I'm going to do it because it's my life and nobody can tell me how to live my fucking life.
Right.
But at the same time, you should just be intelligent, be smart. It's 2020. There's so much literature out there. There's so many resources. There's so much knowledge available to you to become informed, right? Informed. Very easy. Learn your stuff. Be patient. That's the other problem is you have a lot of people that are trying to push on the kids at 19 years old that they need to take drugs. No, man. Learn to love the sport. Eat your freaking peanut butter and jelly and your chicken and your steak and wait till you're at a point where you want to compete or later in life to even think about wanting to do that. I've had a number of kids in their early 20s, late teens. Hey, man, I want to take this. I'm like, no, man, don't. Why? Do you want to become Mr. Olympia? Are you right at that point? No, man. Take your time. Do things right. First, build a base. And then later in life, if it's something you want to do, do your homework and figure out if it's what's right for you. But I'll never push it on people. I'll never tell people they have to. But going back to your question, I'm way off. No, I don't think it should be tested. No, absolutely not. I mean, how...
Do you think other sports should test? Like other mainstream sports should be?
No.
Or should you just drop testing altogether?
No, I think, listen, George Carlin, George Carlin? Comedian?
Yeah.
He said, I don't remember verbatim, but he said, they make the baseball, for example, they make the mitts better every year, the bats, they use science to make everything better. Why not fucking let the players scientifically make themselves better? They're gladiators, man. Like you look at football players, right? Here's an example, right? If I'm playing in the NFL and I go and I tear my knee up, I'm 25 years old, right? I tear my knee up, tear my ligaments in my knee, and I go and I get surgery, and there's a doctor that tells me, hey, if you take growth hormone, you're going to heal better, faster, and you'll be able to walk when you're done playing football. But these guys, these people over at the NFL that make the rules tell me I can't take that. I'm going to take it. I want to walk and play with my kids after the age of 35 when I retire, whatever age that is. Again, I think it's misguided. I think people don't understand the benefits of certain things, even from a medical perspective, of what certain drugs that we have can do for players. I mean, dude, you're literally out there putting your body and your life on the line. And if you're going to tell me that I can't take a drug that's going to help me recover or have a life after football, I don't think you have a right to say that. It's my quality of life, And then in a sense of, I mean, you look at guys like Barry Bonds, right? Everyone always puts that asterisk next to his name.
Always.
Let's say you hit a 100-mile-per-hour fastball like he did. I don't care how many drugs you take.
Oh, McGuire. Right?
You have to hit a round ball with a round bat. So again, man, I don't take anything away from those guys. And I mean, I remember reading a statistic that, back in the 90s in the NFL, it was something like 75% of players were taking something. 75%. Maybe it was all sports. So we're just going to say, okay, pre-1998, asterisk next to every fucking record set or every player that played, right? Or you're going to go back and, create a time machine to go back and test them? Like, no, man. Obviously, I understand why they have rules and, regulations from a sense, but I think when it comes to injuries and stuff like that, as far as, red blood cells, certain types of treatments, growth hormone, the benefits of certain anabolic agents and drugs they have today. Right. I think players should absolutely be allowed to take them to heal themselves.
I think that movie you mentioned, Bigger, Stronger, Faster, the tagline was, is it cheating when everybody's doing it, right? It was like, it seems like today, in sports.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, you know, I remember when I was like junior in high school, senior in high school, and I remember I was in health class. And I remember there was, and this is before I knew anything about steroids or anything. And I remember there was a video we watched on it. It had guys like Lyle Alzado and stuff like that. I talked about, he was such a, you know, against it because he said it causes cancer, which I don't know the details on it. But it said if you could take a drug and become one of the greatest in your sport and make a lot of money, but die at 60 years old,
right,
as opposed to not take the drug, be mediocre, make a decent living, and die at 80 years old, which would you choose?
You'll pick the first one.
Now, most people in front of the public eye are going to say, oh man, I want to live to 80. It's like, no, most people are going to the back of the mind saying, right, man, that feeling of being the greatest, you know. But the other thing is this too, and I think the misconception is this when it comes to bodybuilders especially. There's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people that take steroids.
Right.
And the majority of them look like.
Why is that?
Because it's not just drugs. Most people think you just take a drug and you look good. Mm-hmm. Do you see how Phil Heath trains? Do you see how Kai Green trains? Do you see how Brandon Curry trains? Do you see me in the gym? Do you see these top guys, you know, that have great physiques at the top level of bodybuilding, how they train? You have to work harder when you take stuff. It's not a magic fucking pill. You don't just put something in your body and say, okay, how come I'm not growing? You know, it's you gotta eat more. You gotta train harder. And in order to make those benefits, you know, worth it. As opposed to, like I said, I've seen guys that take so much stuff, and the rule of thumb is always less is more, but they take so much stuff and they look terrible. And it's like, listen, man, you don't know what you're doing. You didn't research, or they're taking the right combination. Like it kills me when I have kids come up to me and say, hey, I'm taking this, this, and this. So it's like, first off, you don't just approach a stranger and say that. Second off, do you know what that, and that is? Tell me what it does, right? What's the half-life? What are you supposed to do after you're done? You know, how do you know it's right? How do you know it's safe? What's the no idea. They just like, you know what, fuck it. Someone told me to take it, so I did it. Mm-hmm. It's like, why the fuck? I won't even put a food in my body without having, you know, knowing, like, my girlfriend, like, if it ain't grass-fed, grass-finished, it doesn't come in the house, right? So why would you put something in your body that you don't know what the fuck it is? Are you crazy? Like, come on, man, protect yourself. Be smarter than that.